Hi, it's been a while since I've done one of these videos, so welcome to it. If you like it, give us a thumbs up and click subscribe. But today's video is all about my flipper-like feet and the flat feet that I have and the challenge that I have around my flat feet. And a little bit of history around them. Well, they've always been with me really. But about how I've dealt with the flat feet and running. So I've been running since I was about 21. It's about 36 years. It's my birthday in a few weeks' time. So around 36 years. And when I first started off, like most young people, yeah, just any pair of trainers and you can pretty much go and run. At the time I was using high-tech Silver Shadows. For those of you who can remember those. I also had some Reebok AZ2s, and they were absolutely lovely trainers, a bit more of a trail trainer you'd probably class that as these days. And I've also had some Reebok Royals as well when I did my early running and early marathons. But yeah, so I've been running 36 years, which is quite some time. And like I say, early days I used to go and run, not have a problem. And then I did a little bit of time away from running, doing football coaching and things like that. And then I wanted to come back into running a little bit more. So I entered the London Marathon, like people do. And I got back into that about 1998, I think it was, something like that. And I picked my running up with my plan that I've always done, which is a bit of a crazy one really, to be fair. Because training for marathons then, they were just almost like a long fun run, and there weren't any real proper plans that and no access to internet and things like that we do now. So I started off my training, and when I look back, it was actually too many miles too soon. So I set off on my training, and after a few weeks, my ankles started to hurt quite a bit, either side of my ankles, and I couldn't work out what was going on. It had never ever happened before when I've been running. So I went to see a local physio, and I think probably the in thing then was, oh, you got flat feet, you need orthotics. So I got some orthotics, and in effect these are the actual pair I still have way back then, and I have used them sort of semi-recently, and we'll cover that in a little bit more, and they work quite well. But what I did at the time, I can't remember what trainers I was running. I think way back then I used to run in Asics, I think they were, Cumulus, I think they were, and I used to just put the orthotics in the trainers and then put the insole that came with the trainers over the top. So it's almost like quite a bit of a sandwich really, which had the effect of my feet almost tipping on the outside. When I put them on, that's what my feet felt like they were doing anyway. So put the orthotics in, and straight away, fair play, the pains in my ankles went away, and I got through the marathon, and I think I got something like 4 hours 3 minutes or 4 hours 8 minutes, something like that. The previous ones have been 4:01 and then 4:01 and then the 4:03, I think it was, because you do have this, I had this burning desire, I've got to get under 4 hours. So for years and years, until recently, I've had orthotics in my trainers, and just ran and run 10Ks and things like that, and marathons. But not many marathons, mainly well, London one really. But I've always had this little bit of an ambition to try and get rid of the insoles, if I could do. And I've had one or two dabbles at doing it, but maybe my ankles were hurting a little bit and my feet. So jump forward a little bit to about 2008. At the time I was running in Asics then, Nimbus I think they were the trainers at the time, with my insoles in, orthotics in, and again training for the London Marathon. One thing that always used to happen when I used to do a marathon is I always used to lose the toenails on my big toes, and I think it was obviously due to my big toes hitting the front of the trainers. Now, being quite stubborn, like you are when you're a runner at times, My normal day-to-day shoes are UK8, and that's what I run in, UK8. And I had a few people say, no, it should be half a size up, you should be on 8.5s. Nah, I'll stick with my 8s. And that's obviously why I used to lose my big toenails. Only ever on marathons I'll add. Everything below that was absolutely fine. So 2008 I added speed work into my marathon training, and I got under 4 hours, 3 hours 57. Absolutely brilliant. So then I had a little bit of a layoff of my running, and then I wanted to get it going again. Oh, I'll do another London Marathon, or carry on with my training. And I started to have some problems with my hip, and you'll see through my other videos where I had a hip replacement in 2017, I think it was. And then after that, I actually applied again for the London Marathon, jokingly, and then, so not jokingly, I was successful in getting into it. So I was scheduled to do the marathon in 2018, and there's where my quest for the sort of the insole thing started. So I went on holiday after having my hip replaced, and then I had some little bit of problems with my Achilles using flip-flops. So a little tip, don't wear flat flip-flops, you know, the Havaianas or anything like that, because it puts a little bit of a strain on your Achilles. Try and wear something, certainly flip-flops if you will, that's got a little bit more of a wedge on that takes the load off your Achilles. My tip, I'm not a medical professional, but that's one of my tips that I've found over the years. I won't wear flat thin flip-flops now. So I wanted to build my training back up for the marathon in 2018, and having no end of problems with my calves and things like that, and basically I was just trying to do it a little bit too quickly. So I deferred my entry for the London until 2019, which was fine, and I got back using my insoles in the Brooks Ghost trainers, and they're absolutely fine. I got 4 hours 15 minutes, which was okay, but I would have liked to have got under 4 hours. But given the things, I've had my hip replaced, I'm coming back 4 hours 15. And I did go a little bit too quick early on. I think I might have got around 4 hours, but I got through it, absolutely over the moon. So I've got quite a few runners in my family. Both my sons run, my future daughter-in-law, my brother-in-law, my wife. We all decided to enter a different marathon, which is the Manchester one round near where we live, flat marathon, and we all started to train for it. And I still had this burning desire to get rid of the orthotics. So I went on a quest to try and get some trainers, or at least that would help me get rid of the orthotics. So I went to a running shop where you could try the trainers on with the treadmill, and the trainers I was looking for more supportive ones. Now what I have found with supportive running trainers is this is the ones I have. This is probably my third pair of these now. These are Brooks Adrenaline GTS 19s, and they are supportive, and they've got quite a bit of support in the arch. Now this is the main thing about the video and my tips for this sort of stuff, and flat feet. What I find is with supportive trainers, by definition, they have to support, and what they tend to be is that little bit more stiff in the forefoot, where there's not a lot to give. And that's one of the things that I look for when I buy to get some trainers now that are supportive. I check to see how much flex and how easy the flex is in the front of the trainers. So the GTS ones, I tried these, and I tried some Saucony ones, but these were the more flexible ones in the front. So I got a pair of these. They were actually blue, and I decided to wear them in very slowly. very slowly, so minute on, minute off for 10 reps, and then for almost about a month I did a certain mileage. So for example, on a Tuesday, a Thursday and a Sunday I'd do 1 mile, 1 mile Tuesday, 1 mile Thursday, 1 mile Sunday, and did that for a full month. Excuse me. And then went to the next month, it was like 2 miles, 3 miles the following month, etc. So I built up reasonably well. And also what I was researching as well is there's a good book called 80-20 Running, and that was quite intriguing because I thought I wanted to try something a little bit different as well with my running, to see if I could make it just that little bit easier. Plus it was a book that I bought to read when I was on holiday, but very interesting book. So starting with these, marathon training for the Manchester Marathon was going very well, and my mileage was creeping up, and around about February 2020, the marathon got cancelled, or even before that, and I'd found out actually that I had a slight tear in my left meniscus in my knee that I'd actually ran with during the London Marathon, and I trained most of it. It was caused through doing a little bit of DIY. So luckily I had that done in the February 2020, just before COVID and lockdown and all that sort of stuff. So for last year I was predominantly running in these, and the blue pair to this that I got before, these yellow ones, I wore in a little bit quicker. The yellow ones, these particular ones, absolutely took me ages to wear them in. Whenever I went, they felt stiff, my legs felt leggy, and also my calves hurt, which is one of the other key things that I find when sometimes you're using supportive trainers, that it does make your calves work a little bit more, certainly the back chain of your legs, which is also why I found that strength training is also a factor that you have to do a little bit more, I think, definitely now when I'm older, than I used to do when I was younger. So GTS 19s, got these in. These now, actually, when I run in these, they actually feel like a pair of slippers. They're very good. However, another key point, because they are that bit stiff, I find that the front of my foot, just below my toes, can get a little bit tender on a long run. So like all trainers, they wear out, so I had to get a replacement. So we got Brooks Adrenaline GTS 20s. And what I've found a lot of the manufacturers do now is they subtly change the trainers, what they probably class as improvements. But I think sometimes they can negatively impact trainers. Way back when I used to run in Asics Nimbus, when they went from, say, 13s to 14s, the 14s changed and I couldn't run them. I had to move to Brooks. And what I found with the GTS 20s to the 19s, I think this bit of the trainer here on the inside, on the medial side, is just that little bit more stiff than the 19s. So whenever I wear these, and I've been trying to wear these in for quite a while now, my legs feel quite heavy when I wear these trainers. So purely by chance, I was looking through YouTube the other day, and I saw a guy doing a review of some New Balance trainers. So that raised my interest. New Balance Fuel Cell Prism. And they were classed as supportive trainers and a trainer and a little bit of a ratio as well. So that raised my interest, and the price wasn't too bad, to be fair. So I ordered a pair, which come quite quickly, and this is not like a video on a review on trainers, but I have to say I am impressed with these. They are quite flexible, very light. But what I find from a flat feet and fatigue point of view in the legs is I do not get it with these. So these being that little bit more flexible here, certainly for me, have had an almost instant impact. So one, my forefoot is not as tender when I'm running because my foot is not working as hard. My calves aren't working as hard. So that's made a massive difference for me. So the key things about this video, what I would say, certainly if you have flat feet, like I have, and I will put a photograph of my flipper-like feet on here as well, that yeah, seek medical advice from the professionals, podiatrists, physios, whatever, but just try and think about it a little bit. Is that, you know, you can do strengthening work on your ankles and things to help. The insoles of the orthotics, because they are that little bit stiff, they're designed to support your arch, so it's worth taking that into effect, that if you put them in the trainers, try to avoid probably a trainer that's too stiff, otherwise that will compound the problem with the insoles. But just look out for the signs of leggy feet, you know, your legs being a little bit heavy, the trainers making you work a little bit too much because they're just that little bit stiff. But I think now a lot of the manufacturers are coming out with some lighter supportive trainers now, and these look a little bit like the Nike racing trainers now that a lot of the pro athletes wear. They're not the fraction of the price, but really good. So a little bit of history behind me. Flat feet, orthotics, yes, they may or may not work for you, but just be aware of the stiffness possibly in them, and the extra load it places on your feet, your calves, etc. And also it's worth exploring, if you are going to get supportive trainers and you don't need orthotics, try and get some that are just that little bit more flexible. Like I say, I don't get paid for any of these, I just buy myself, but for me, I've certainly found the recent ones, the New Balance ones, very good, and certainly the past, you know, half a dozen runs I've done in them have been really, really good, and I'm probably going to order another pair before they change the design again. Yeah, so just my thoughts on flat feet, orthotics, and options for trainers and things to look out for. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, and also click to subscribe. And I'm probably going to do a video at some point soon, ideally on 80-20 running, which I'm finding quite a fascinating subject. But while we're doing going through the COVID, please stay safe, enjoy your running, and hopefully I'll see you on the next video.